Minister, what I'm trying to find out, because people think in real value for money and what's really available in real money, taking inflation into account. So I'm looking to find out the increases or decreases that have taken place in the rates of grant under the SUSI grant scheme for under and postgraduates since 2008, the years that those changes were made, and if you intend increasing the grants for the 22-23 academic year, and have you made provision in the estimates to do that?
I want to thank Deputy Ó Cuív for the important question in relation to SUSI grant schemes and indeed their real value. And I'd suggest I provide the Deputy with some of the information in tabular form for ease of the discussion here this evening. But as part of the last budget and a budget of this three-party government, we did announce the first major changes to the student grant scheme rates and eligibility, which does include an increase to the standard rate and an increase to the special rates of maintenance. And these are rates that haven't increased in over a decade. These changes take effect from, as you asked, the 22-23 academic year. This has allowed us to make what I believe is early progress in addressing what we expect will be some of the themes that will emerge from the review of the student grant scheme due next month. This includes trying to ensure that the scheme keeps pace with changes in the economy, people's level of earning and changes in the cost of living. The package which we announced, yes, there is provision for it in the budget. It will include an additional €15 million in expenditure next year and around €33 million in full-year costs to enhance the financial supports under the student grant scheme. For the academic year 22-23, this will mean an increase to all student grant maintenance payments, including the special rate of grant of €200 per year. This will benefit approximately 62,000 students. It will also mean, very importantly, the income threshold to qualify for the standard rate of student grant has been increased by €1,000. And I think this is very important because income thresholds hadn't been touched in a decade. And the qualifying distance criterion, which I think will affect your constituents, for students to qualify for the non-adjacent rate of grant has been reduced from 45 kilometres to 30 kilometres, effective from the start of the 22-23 academic year. We've prioritised these changes as they will benefit thousands of students, building on the improvements we made last year for the postgraduate student supports, where we increased the postgraduate fee grant from €2,000 to €3,500, and we increased the income threshold for postgraduate students from €31,500 to €54,240. But in simple summaries, we hadn't increased rates before then. So if I was to read them all out, they've been static, Deputy, for the last decade until we made these changes.
Minister, can I correct you?
Sorry, they actually reduced and then were static.
Sorry, they were reduced.
They were indeed, yes.
As well as that, the adjacent rate went from 35 to 45, so all you've done there is come back to where we were.
We're not even there yet.
And as well as that, you absolutely butchered the postgraduate rates. So it regressed dramatically since 2008, but you've very, very cleverly glossed over all that, even though it was a very specific question as to where we were in 2008 and where we are today, even allowing for the miserly increases that were given in the budget for 22-23. And then we've gone back again to this great ploy that you've employed for 10 years, the review, which means that the poor students who are in college in 21-22, nothing. The students under this government, they're in 22-23, a little bit of redressing back to the 2008 rates. Now, if you check the cost of going to college, in 2008 versus today, there is a really significant difference. Minister, can you outline for me the regression since 2008 in detail as I asked?
Well, Deputy, I don't need a history lesson, and neither do you, in relation to some of the very difficult economic decisions this country made post the Troika period, and indeed during the Troika period, where many, many, many difficult decisions had to be made in relation to public expenditure. And we're not going to debate on the floor of this stall why those reasons were tonight, I'm quite sure. But what I am going to say to you is, when we came together as two parties along with the Green Party in this government, we made a commitment in the programme for government to make improvements to student grants. And when I was appointed by the Taoiseach to this department, in the first budget that we delivered as a government, and we are a government of three parties, we increased student grants for postgraduates. income thresholds and rates. In the second budget of this government, we increased income thresholds, we increased the adjacency, non-adjacency situation, and we increased the overall rate. Have we reached the final destination? No. Does everybody from the Taoiseach down in this government intend to do more? Yes. Were student grants reduced, as you wish me to say on the record of this House? Yes, they absolutely were. Why were they? I think you're well aware of that reason, as am I. But we're making progress, Deputy, not just to get back to where we are, but to actually go further.
Well, Minister, the great announcement, €200 per annum, a very, very small increase in the income thresholds at a time that, because of inflation, incomes are rising. You're a mile away in real terms, an absolute mile, a country mile away from where we were in 2008. And as I said, you might give me what was available in 2008 for postgrad compared to what's available with your fantastic package for 22-23.
Which you voted for, Deputy.
Sorry.
It's your package.
I'm a member of government party, but I don't have to agree with everything that members of that government do. That's just a fact. One of the unfortunate parts of coalition. So what I'm asking is, what were the rates in 2008 and what are the rates now? Because I believe third level education is incredibly important and making it accessible to people on low incomes and medium incomes is absolutely hugely important. And you might tell me, what year do you expect that you will get the big money to at least get us back to the 2008 rates, not to mind all the great other improvements that you're promising into the future?
Well, myself, Minister Collins, the Taoiseach, the Taoiseach, Minister Ryan, and I believe every member of the Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Green parliamentary parties are determined to increase student supports. And I have here some of the decisions you made in relation to student supports during your time in the governments in 2008, 2009 and 2010 too. Have them here as well. No, we're aware of that. We're all aware of the economic crisis, Deputy.
Yeah, but the economic crisis is ongoing according to yourselves.
Sorry, my apologies, last Kim Corda. So I'm very much aware of the situation that we had to see during your time in the last Fianna Fáil government, and indeed during the time of the Fine Gael Labour government. Very difficult decisions made in relation to registration fees and very difficult decisions made in relation to student grants. I am providing, as an appendix to this answer, in tabular form, each of those years, postgraduate, maintenance grants, providing them all to the Deputy, registration fees, they're all here for the Deputy to see, from 2008 to 2020.
Publish them.
And they will be published on the record of this House.
I know that, but I'll make sure they're well published.
You don't need to do it, I do it myself, you can do it. We do them, that's how we publish PQs, you're in this House long enough to know that. So that's exactly,
we publish them places that people will read
That's exactly what we will do, Deputy. But we have, in this budget, brought about a significant increase as a statement of intent. Nobody's suggesting it's the final destination. Nobody. But we're also going to settle the question of a sustainable funding model for higher education.
How much joy to the students in college now?
You didn't do much for them yourself.